So here's something unexpected. The Mask of the Black Rose skins are getting new models and visual effects. Now, if you remember, I had fairly negative things to say about the Mask of the Black Rose line when it first came out. Like, not entirely. Like, I thought for the most part the ideas on display were pretty good. I liked Renata Glasc, except that the decanter was completely unchanged. I liked the splash art for Elise a lot, even if the problem was that her spider form looked nothing like it. And Vladimir just kind of looked like he was wearing regular clothes, and that was a little bit like, yeah, it was a little weak, right? Like, and especially being a Battle Pass skin line, it was disappointing. It kind of sucked, like, that this was supposed to be like, oh yeah, lore skins were sort of implying something interesting and cool about it, and it's just kind of, a lot of them felt like they were just kind of half-assed, and that's something that's very much been continuing with the Battle Pass skins, like Spirit Blossom Ivern, Pool Party Twitch. They've not had a good track record. So it's interesting to see, because I thought basically everything we've seen is that Riot has written off Battle Pass skins as not worth the investment, right? Like, not worth sinking time, money, and effort into, because who gives a shit, right? Like, they're free, like, with the investment of a lot of your time and a lot of engagement with the League of Legends ecosystem and all that. But they're not like especially the free ones are not huge moneymakers. And so it has kind of seemed to me like Riot has made a conscious decision not to give half of a shit about the quality of the Battle Pass skins. So it's interesting to see that they're getting full remakes, essentially. This kind of came out of nowhere for me, because I'm sure it's been announced on Twitter or whatever, but I'm just not plugged into the League of Legends ecosystem anymore, very much by choice. So seeing these come out of nowhere and be entirely new skins is a surprise pour moi. So let's take a look at them and see how they've changed. I wonder if Skin Spotlights is going to do a comparison. He is. I love Skin Spotlights. Skin Spotlights is so good. Skin Spotlights is so cool. He rules. You should all go follow him if you aren't already. Just because, like, he genuinely, like, before we get into this, Skin Spotlights is like the foundation of so much of the League of Legends content creation ecosystem. Riot themselves have sometimes stolen his footage of the models that they put out to use in their own trailers, which he gets moderately annoyed about. But that's how good he is. Like, this dude is... It's astonishing to me that Riot haven't hired him. I'm sure they've tried, like, who knows, but... Okay. So, okay. One problem with this is I can't zoom in. Actually, let me check in my other browser. Let me just check if these are already in the model viewer. Because if they are, then we can take a closer look at them. They are not. In the model viewer, we have the old ones still. Okay. Interesting. Right, well, okay, we'll have to use the video that we've got on screen as what we've got to work with. So the big thing immediately visible is that Renata's hair is white now. There's been some changes to the color temperature. They've toned down the gold. Oh, I'm so happy about that. They've toned down a little bit of the gold on, like, the decoration around the shoulder, and the decanter, though, is the main... Like, the decanter was a big focus of my criticism, is I thought it really sucked that the decanter was barely changed from the base version. Like, it really wasn't meaningfully changed. Like, actually, I can probably plop that up. Can you see that right now? No, you cannot, because it's not capturing that part of the thing. Okay, I am good at my job. Like that. Yes, there we go. Now you can see, right? So, this is Renata's decanter as it looks in the Black Rose skin. This is the decanter as it looks in her regular... Like, it's the same decanter. There's functionally no difference between them at all, right? Like, it has been very, very, very slightly touched up, but it's basically exactly the same decanter. And that kind of sucked, to be quite frank with you. So I am pleased to see that they've put some effort into customizing it. Like, it's not a radical remake of the decanter, but there's definitely a bunch of changes to the trim, and it has a black, like a red rose right at the center of it now, which feels like much more specifically calibrated to, and like, I like the updated visual effects as well. I also want to... Again, I wish I could look at the actual model, because Renata's arm was another thing that I kind of just did not like about the old skin, because it's just Swain's demon arm with some metal bits sticking out of it. It looks like it's been replaced with a somewhat more elaborate prosthetic now, which again, for me, like Renata, a big deal about her is that the prosthetic is like her thing. Right? Like, she has this cool-ass prosthetic arm that's, like, the source of a bunch of her powers. And so for that not to be a prosthetic, but just to be, like, sort of a vaguely quasi-magical demon arm with... like, that to me sucked. I did not care for that at all. I thought that felt really cheap and, like, the lowest effort possible sort of conversion of her arm. Now it looks like she's actually got, like, a prosthetic of some kind. Again, I wish I could fucking zoom in. Actually, there's a way to do that. Hang on. Aha! There we go. So I downloaded the whole video in 4K and I put it into Premiere Pro. And 4K footage has a tendency to chug a little bit on my computer for reasons I don't quite understand. It should be more than powerful enough to handle it. But, you know, nonetheless. So now we can zoom in. Now we can have a look. Oh, yeah, it's a prosthetic now, like a real one. Like, compare and contrast, right? With... This is just Swain's demon arm, right? Whereas that looks like a prosthetic, like there's a half-glove thing on it. Yeah. That's way the hell better. And there's so much less gold trim. This pleases me greatly. Well, oh no, it's not that it's necessarily less, they've just moved it. Okay, they've made a little bit more, okay. Let's see if we can find a spot where she stands still without 100 million visual effects around her to... Okay, well. Smear frame! Limbo! Let's see. Okay, so on the old version, you can see you have these very obvious gold accents sort of edging the lines of the rose petals. And it's like, I understand why you would do that from like a visual perspective. It highlights the edges of the petals, helps separate them from one another. But here they seem to be much more sort of painted. There's still gold trim, but it's painted into the texture of the thing instead. How different are the pants? Like, did they change the model that much? A bit, I think. Not a lot, though. Yeah, like I said, it'll be a little slow to react. Yeah. Oh, she's now wearing, like, open shoes, and they've highlighted, like, the slit down the thighs a bit more, which I'm personally a fan of. Changed the cut of the trousers as well a lot. Yeah, okay, interesting. Because before you had this, like, sort of sewn slit down the side. And here we seem to be operating with more just like a hip window kind of situation. And then the pants themselves sort of like closed tight. Yeah. And here, like the neck piece she's got, right? These arrows pointing downwards. Just sort of like, it's just sort of gold that's attached to her collarbone somehow. Which, again, more gold accents. This seems much more like a neck piece, right? Like, much more like an actual, like, necklace of some kind. That's with her. Okay, maybe one thing I should check is whether we just get a straight-up better look at any of... No, it's all comparison shots. So that's fair enough. Like, that's kind of what you want from skin spotlights, especially. Here's a good chance to look at the decanter. Yeah, see, now it has these rose petal wings around the thing and like a full rose right in the center of it. Whereas before, it was just her regular decanter with like a few bits on it. Now it has like this rose petal sheath around it. Okay. What if we go all the way back? Do we not get to see the recall? I really just want a front shot of her as much as I can get one. Yeah, here. Okay. I am frustrated that I can't get a close-up look on her face. But there's definitely some... Oh, she's got like a little... Does she have that in the original? Well, she does. It's the holster. That's the other thing they changed, is they've introduced some asymmetry, right? Like that, the old one had a much more symmetrical sort of rose petal thing going on up on the top over her collarbone and shoulders. Now it's like asymmetrical, which I think makes it more striking. Because it introduces like imbalance in the character design, which creates an interesting visual tension that you can then resolve by doing other things to balance it out. So we also get like the holster over her shoulder, the gun holster, like sitting much more sort of obviously out in the open. I kind of like that. The fact that the gun holster is now not hidden at all, like it's not blending into the outfit. It's very obviously she's got a fucking holster for her gun on over her shoulder, just like a purse slung over her shoulder. I kind of like that. Like that implicit threat of violence is kind of like there's a real sort of mob boss thing there. And yeah, look at the fucking arm. Look at that, like with this gorgeous red plumed like shirt sleeve thing underneath, sort of hide the connection where her arm turns into the prosthetic. I cannot overstate how much better that new arm is than the old one, because the old one is just, why does she have Swain's demon arm, right? That's one of the problems, is that these were theoretically supposed to be like, not canon skins, but sort of like, what if, right? Like, what if Renata Glasc in fact did go to a, like, Black Rose social gathering kind of situation? What would she look like, right? And so it doesn't really make sense. Like, she would have a magic arm all of a sudden, a demon arm like Swain. Because no, she wouldn't. That's not, Renata Glasc doesn't have that. That's not really her thing, right? She has a prosthetic arm. I like the decision to turn all of the hair white, right? Because like Renata's black and white hair works really, really well with her base design, because that's all about those very stark black and white sort of like differential aesthetics. Here, you can kind of see that the black of her hair is kind of stranded and alone in the character design, because nothing else in the character design is either directly like it contrasts nicely with the red, right? And it works with gold, because of course it does. But you see how the suit, right? Like the suit itself is dark, but it's not black, right? It's not white, it's not black, so you don't get that shock contrast that black normally gets to make with the rest of her suit, right? Like where you get these intrusions of like the hair. So like I like the gray streak in Renata's, or the white streaks in Renata's hair a lot. But I think this is a lot more unified in terms of like, because now you have this shock of white, which contrasts very powerfully with the red, and it contrasts very powerfully with the like dark sort of greenish tinge of her main suit. So you get that strong contrast, that strong impact from the contrast that that kind of isn't happening as much here. It's not that it looks bad, by the way. It's just in terms of visual impact and in terms of how readable it is on Summoner's Rift when you're seeing it like in this size. I think this works better. And I really do like that neck piece now. Because, like, it really was just kind of like she's wearing gold on her collarbones with glue, I guess. She glued some gold to herself, I guess, which felt weird. Now that it's like an actual neck piece, that feels much more high fashion. And, like, also more sort of upper classy, right? Where I feel like gluing sort of jewelry of various kinds to yourself, that's a little bit more, that's not old money, that feels more new money to me. I don't know that I can justify this with a strong explanation, but that feels more new money, that feels more up and comer, that feels more, whereas, oh yes, this thing was made for my great grandmother by the greatest silversmith in Vienna 500 years ago, and it's stayed in the family ever since. That to me feels a lot more old money, right? Like, which is what Renata wants to... She's not old money, of course, she's new money, but she's very dedicated to projecting that old money image about herself, that she's like a member of the upper classes, the aristocracy. She tries to blend in with them really hard because they are the people she wants to kill, and dominate and destroy and humiliate. So that makes a lot more sense to me. Let's just enjoy some smear frames. You can see here that the arm sort of just vanishes as it gets replaced with the bits of her model that are eventually going to spawn the thing. And this also reveals how thin the arm is, right? Like how much it's not a fucking prosthetic at all. It's some magic bullshit. Whereas here, like, you get much more a sense of, like, okay, this is something mechanical that's opening up and which is firing, like, and I do like that new VFX better. Because, like, this is just her regular VFX, more or less, right? Not really rose-themed. This one gets, like, the full with the rose petals and with the everything. And, like, much more rose-themed sort of visual effects. Much more black rose-themed visual effects, especially. And then the actual binding has stayed mostly the same, with a little bit of extra flair on this. Like, look at the sharper spikes on the thing. But mostly that's just a touch-up. An appreciated one, but just a touch-up nonetheless. Yeah, changed the cut of the pants quite substantially. I like the open shoes. I like that there's that little bit of extra skin down there. Like, that... Because, like, the lower half of her suit is so very dark. So that there's this little bit of light down there now. More than there was before. I think that's probably a good choice. I do bemoan a little bit. Like, you had these, like, sheer blood red... I was about to say underpants, but, like, the other layer of pant underneath, like, the main sort of sheath. That's a little bit gone. It's been replaced with more rose petal imagery, like, to sort of make the theming more complete, which is, like, that's fine. I did like that she had these pants under the pants in the old version. That... maybe I prefer the old version, like, right here, around the calf. But that's about it. This is such a fucking improvement. It really, really is. This is a massive improvement. This is so much better. Could you turn your head forward, Renata, for me, please, babe? Okay, well, with visual effects on, I guess, but okay. Any chance you turn it back? No, you just kind of snap into another lovely smear frame. I do love me a good smear frame. Oh, here we can get a look at her face. Because the face has not changed that radically, has it? Oh, interesting. We still get a little bit of black in Renata's hair. Just kind of bound up underneath, like, this elaborate hairstyle thing she's got going on. Interesting, okay. Yeah, we don't get her earring here anymore. That's been replaced by this, like, lock of hair that's sort of hanging down from... I like that, though. I quite like... That's a massive improvement. That really is much, much, much better. Now, let's see. Elise. Here's old Elise, whom we hate. God, I do not like... like, compared to the version of Elise that was in the cinematic, this feels like such a plastic toy. This feels like such a plastic doll. With really no relation to what Elise was looking like in that cinematic. And especially the spider form. Because, like... The whole point, again, is that this is Elise. This is actually Elise. She's wearing a different outfit for the gala, but it is just Elise, the Spider Queen lady, as she normally is. So her spider form, it really just should be, like... I know this, like, this is sort of my argument, is this is one of the very few cases where I think the spider form should just be her base spider form, or... maybe an updated one with better textures that looks a little nicer, but it really should just be her normal spider form. They haven't done that with this update either, I know. And I completely understand that, like, that would feel like very low value on the skin if her spider form didn't change at all, but that's what would be accurate, though. That's what's accurate to the cinematic, that's what's accurate to the story that you're telling, so that's what they should do. I understand that they haven't. I understand why they don't, because these are cosmetics, and if you only get half a cosmetic, like a cosmetic for half the character, you feel cheated. So, okay. Still not quite, but, but they've actually, hang on. No, okay. That's a good compromise, because we're still getting, because they're doing a much more biological version of her, right? Like, where this version is kind of just made of plastic and metal, right? Like, this, again, just looks like kind of a toy. It doesn't look like the sort of, like, terrifying Spider Queen monster that you would expect her to be. This is a much more biological Elise, right? Like, this is much more, like, not quite her base form, but much closer to it. And then they've sort of incorporated the Black Rose thing with the mask instead, but they're focusing on the face, on giving her, like, the many eyes, which is, like, one of the striking thing about her visuals, in the cinematic, where she had those many eyes. Definitely looks more deadly. I'm still, like, this is a good compromise. Like, it's still a cosmetic, it still changes the character, but she does now look like she comes much closer to the cinematic, much closer to what she looked like there. Even if, again, I am of the opinion that this is the one skin, perhaps, in the game where it would have been good not to change, like, again, change the textures, update the textures a little bit. I would be happy if they updated the model of the old Spider version a little bit, because it's kind of ugly and old. But yeah, you know what? That's about as close as a compromise can get. If you have to balance that, like, of making it a goddamn cosmetic, but not, you can't quite go all the way. So let's go back to where we swapped to the new version. Okay. I just kind of want to see if I can't get a shot of her. Okay, there's a reasonable shot from the front. Like, not the best posture ever, but okay. The mask is immediately looking a lot better. I'll need to look at it in the mod. Like, the mask is very small, but, like, you look at this mask, you look how bright and sort of, like, pointy it is, right? And how sort of simple it looks relative to this one, which is much darker and seems to have a much better structure to it. Again, I would want to get into the model viewer and get a close-up look before I pass judgment on the mask, but on initial inspection, it looks way better. And the costume, too. Again, let me actually find... What was it called? Elise bite marks. That should give me a screenshot or two, right? Yeah, it's much, much, much closer to what she looks like in the cinematic. Right? Like, that is a measurable improvement. In terms of, like, capturing the aesthetic of, like, this chest plate with these creeping sort of things around the edge. Especially relative to, you know, whatever the fuck this was. This thing with the shoulder thing especially. Like, the fact that she has this huge gold attachment, again with the fucking gold, and the gold on the spider legs, and the gold on the fucking hips, and the claw. Relative to that, this is a million times, like, more accurate to the cinematic, and also just subtler. This is, again, that's what makes this feel like such a plastic toy, is that it's so unsubtle. Like, it's so allergic to the concept of not being maximally flashy at all times, when the whole point of Elise in the cinematic is that she was being kind of stealth, right? Like, she was not being extremely ostentatious, she was just kind of dark and scary. Same thing with the legs. Like, they have added some red accents to the legs, which, like, they're kind of there in the cinematic, right? They're kind of there in the cinematic, but they're not overdone here. Like, just the fact that it's no longer all fucking gold all the fucking time. What a massive improvement that is. Yeah, and the gold claws on the fingers, again, from a visual standpoint, I understand why you would want that, because you have these dark, sort of red-black gradients sort of flowing into her fingers, which kind of, especially from a distance, right, you can see how much the gold does to highlight where her hands are. And when the position and the movement of the hand is sort of a key to a lot of the gestural behavior in her animation and stuff, I get putting gold claws there to create a little bit of highlight and contrast. That I understand that. Again, would have been cooler if they were cinematic accurate. That this is fine. Like, as a compromise between being accurate and being readable, I think this is really much, much, much better. They're not quite copying the design, like this sort of Starry Night design on her pants, I see, but again, that probably wouldn't read super well. They probably could have done that, but you know, whatever. Yeah, I really want to get, like, because the mask is definitely still not quite cinematic accurate. That's for sure, because in the cinematic, she has these 4 eyes on her forehead, and then, like, a couple more eyes right down below her cheekbones, and then, like, these vents on the side of the mask, which are sort of... Still here, we have, like, I think some gold accents. It's imitating the idea of, hey, there's eyes up here. It makes them bigger. It probably, again, using gold to create more contrast so it's more readable that they're supposed to be there. I get it. But it kind of loses the sort of scary spider eye thing, because it's like the spider eyes are these little black orbs, so you're thinking, oh, are those gems? And then you get close enough, it's like, oh my god, it's eyes. That's the scary part of them. Whereas really heavily signaling them with gold like this, it doesn't work quite the same way. But again, it's not for a cinematic. This is for working on Summoner's Rift, in which case I get it, I guess. But yeah, truly... just like the level of improvement here cannot be overstated. This is just astonishingly better. This is so much better. This was a garbage tier skin before. Like this was genuinely kind of fucking terrible. This now, like, I wouldn't say it's S tier, but like this, it's gone up a few fucking ranks, because now it actually looks like, now the whole point of the skin was you get to play as the Elise you saw in the cinematic, right? And then you buy the thing, or you unlock it on the battle pass, and then no you don't. You very much do not get to play that version of Elise at all, which is a big disappointment. Now you kind of do. Like, now you can plausibly say, this is the Elise from the Bite Mark cinematic, this is what she looks like. You can play her on Summoner's Rift. Like, this is a big improvement. Kudos. Like the Riot skin team making the decision to go back and increase the quality of these skins. I respect that. It's one of the few things like that I will say for Riot. Also nice updating the visual effects to actually match the skin. That's neat. It's one of the things I will say for Riot is that historically they have been a lot more willing to do things like this than you would expect from a corporation like that, right? Like, I remember, like, the Zone Chaos skins that were cancelled, and, like, this is something, right, like, most of the skins that get really far in the production process where they do spend kind of a lot of money trying to make them, and developing them, and doing animations, and, like, visual effects and all that, and then they cancel them because they can't get them to a quality point where they like them. That is something that Riot has done for many years. Like, and that doesn't get surfaced to the player, right? Because a skin that never gets published at all or talked about or shown off, of course we don't know about all the effort that went into that then kind of got thrown out when the skin got put in an icebox or cancelled or whatever because it wasn't hitting that quality mark. This is something like when Riot allows its production teams, its artists, its animators... No, Hermes, night. No. Stay away from the cable. Okay, yeah. Do you want to come over here, or do you want to sit in my cables? Because if you want to sit in my cables, I have to take you and put you outside my office. No? Oh my god, okay. No. No. Get that out of your mouth. Monster. Little monster. Sorry, what was I saying? Right, when the production crews at Riot get to be in charge of stuff, right? Like, which they sometimes do, especially when it has come to skins, because, like, they are proven money makers, right? Like, they are who... The skins team is a huge part of what makes the money for Riot Games. They have been very good in the past at doing things like this. This is one of the reasons why it's been so disheartening to see the Battle Pass skins just get shat out like that, with so little care and effort put into them. And I'm sure that's not because of the production team at Riot is like, we don't care about this, we don't want to spend time on it. It's because they are being told, you can't spend time on this, you can't spend resources, we don't want to pay a lot of money in wages and time to make these things happen. These are trash tier, this is trash tier slop that gets shoveled into a battle pass, and we can't sell it later for extra money down the line so it doesn't have a tail. We don't want to invest in this. It's not worth the money and time. And so they are told to rush some like minimal viable product crap out of the door. And I can guarantee you that they don't like to do that. They don't enjoy it. They want to create cool, good things. Like, that's broadly speaking what Riot's production crew and the artists and the animators want to do. They're not always allowed to, and sometimes they miss the mark also. That also happens. Like, sometimes they just don't do a good job at it. But in the past, that was one of the things I kind of respected about, maybe not Riot, the corporation, but certainly about the culture of rioters, like of the workers at the company, was that they would push for stuff like this, right? Like, they would push for those quality bars to actually be met. Because like nowadays you'll see this still. Riot will say, "Oh, we're a players first company. We put the players first." Like, and lots of companies say that, of course, right? But for a long time internally at Riot, like, the workers there believed it. Like, they heard those company values and they internalized them, and they acted in accordance with them. They believed in that shit, and the managers believed in that shit. Like, it was, you know, the corporate structure doesn't. Corporate structures have no values or morals. They don't believe in anything except money. Like, nothing matters except profit. But the workers at the company did believe in it and acted in accordance with it and really pushed very, very hard to enforce that philosophy internally, that like, if it's not good enough, we don't want to put it out, right? Like, if this doesn't serve a need that we know that players have, we're not going to put it out. If we aren't happy with it, we're not going to launch it because it feels bad, and like, no one wants that. And you know, I used to respect that a lot about Riot's company culture. And so the Battle Pass skins, as they started to get like launched with the new direction of League, being so shit, on top of now there's gacha bullshit creeping into the game that just, oh my God, I'm not gonna go off on the gacha bullshit again today. It sucked a lot because like there's a reason I still review League of Legends skins. I still really like a lot of them as exercises in character design and cosmetic design. What did you do? Hermes, what was that? I have an exhaust hose from my little air conditioning unit in my office that runs out the window. He was trying to climb it, and then it came loose and like fell indoors, and he tumbled. Little moron. They're hyphy tonight. They're hyphy. They're really acting out. Now, Vladimir. Less drastic changes on this one. Oh, no, it was Ezreal who was just kind of wearing a suit. Vladimir actually had a little bit more going on. Did he get a lot smaller? He did. Yeah, it was Ezreal who was just kind of wearing a suit. Interesting. That's an interesting thing that they scaled it down so much, actually. Hang on. Oh, that's interesting. Because certainly, like, the old version is much more ostentatious and loud, with, like, this huge, flowing, flapping coat and, like, a much bigger collar and much more extensive costuming. Okay. I like that, though. I like that. I also... He now has a proper Black Rose sigil instead of his little blood clot that he's carrying around. I like that. I like that. I like that they're toning it down, actually, on him. Well, partly... it's... I have complicated feelings about the direction that they've taken with Vladimir in, like, the new Noxus cinematics and, like, the sort of Fortiche-produced whatever. That he's... I've always felt like Vladimir is much more of a sort of loud, hedonistic, eccentric Dorian Gray type of character, because that's what he's kind of traditionally been portrayed as, is like this like reclusive, eccentric socialite who's like occasionally emerges from hiding to sort of captivate the Noxus social scene once again. And it's like, hello, my darlings. Yes, attend my debauched private parties. Yes, we shall do funny things with blood and also maybe weird sex stuff in the back rooms. Oh, yes. Like, he's sort of that type, right? Like, which is an affect that he puts on to sort of hide a mind that is very predatory and very sort of single-mindedly focused on survival and very vampiric, right? So like I think Vladimir should be more flamboyant. I think he should be more loud and ostentatious and kind of cunty. That's my view of Vladimir. So on the one hand, that they're toning it down, that he doesn't have these huge, like, oh yes, my darlings, I have arrived for the party, yes, like, it feels like maybe he should be kind of loud and over the top, and I'm in two minds about it. I'm in two minds, because, like, the new direction they've chosen for him, this is definitely a better design for that, right? Like, it's definitely better for that version of the character, that he's maybe a little bit more restrained and sort of reasonably dressed. Can we get, like, a front-facing view of him for a moment? I think we get... Yeah, there we go. The visual effect disappears. Now, it's still his old model underneath it all, and you can really tell with the very awkward posing and animation that it's got going on. But it's definitely a better suit. Like, again, like, I'm sort of the opinion that he should be as loud and ostentatious as possible. But like this, look at this, like this layered structure here with, again, too much gold trim on it, whatever. This layered structure for the collar is definitely better rose theming than this thing, right? Because this is just a fucking Dracula collar, right? Like, this is just a huge, like, oh, yes, welcome to my castle, I do not drink wine. Like, that's sort of more that vibe, but if we wanted it to be Black Rose themed, right? Like, where we're really sort of leaning heavy on the rose petals and all of that, this is definitely doing a much better job of that as a collar. And I like the hairstyle here better, too. This is just sort of Astarion at home basic thing. This is a little bit more Devil May Cry Virgil, and I like the half mask also a lot better than this thing. Again, sorry for the jitters, it's 4K footage. Like, here he had like a half mask, I believe, that covered like the whole top half of his face. Let me just try and find it on Kata. Let's see. Mask of the Black... Yeah, it's a half mask that covers the top of his face in the old design. Right? And it sort of has a bit of a bird aspect to it with almost like a beak structure down the front here. And it's like, it's fine, but it's also, it's not elegant, right? Like, it's not elegant, it's not cool, it's very NPC to me. This is the dude who's standing in the background of the Eyes Wide Shut orgy and who's not saying anything. This is the background character kind of mask. This is not striking or interesting. This is yeah, not an interesting mask particularly. And the suit is not good, right? Like, I like that it's bigger. I like that it's larger and sort of more flamboyant, but that's really the main thing I like about old version of this, is that it's bigger and louder and more flamboyant. The suit is horrible. Like, this is not fashion, honey. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what your tailor told you, but no, like, just red vertical stripes against like a dark greenish thing, and then these vertical stripes down the fucking pantaloons. Honey, honestly, put some real pants on. So this is like, the jacket coat just kind of looks like a military overcoat, kind of vaguely, but not really a well-designed one. So like, I miss a little bit of the largeness of this coat, but I don't miss the design of the fashion on the coat, because it kind of sucks. Whereas by comparison, behave yourself, Premiere Pro, please. This is much more like, look, he's got a collar, he's got like an actual, like a cravat thing that's attached with like a proper clasp, and like there's a waistcoat, and there's like a vest in there. And like we have some contrasting shape elements. Like, yeah, and like no stupid red stripe down his pants either. Like, again, it's the old model. There's a limit to how much they can really do for him to make him look good, because he kind of... He's disproportionate and weird looking and chunky and awkward. There's a limit to how elegant you can make him look, but the half mask, the fucking Phantom of the Opera thing with the asymmetrical hairstyle, sort of mimicking the shape language of flower petals, and then like this much more interesting suit design that looks a lot more like a suit rather than like a sort of military greatcoat kind of vibe. Once he gets a visual update, I think this is gonna look cunty as hell. Like, I think actually this is gonna work. He should have some makeup on, though. Like, I want to get a close look at his face because he needs to wear makeup. This is one thing about Vladimir skins. Motherfucker needs to be... Like, you're telling me this motherfucker, this dandy-ass little motherfucker isn't wearing a full face at all times? No. No fucking way he's not wearing a full face at all times. Like, there's so much interesting stuff you can do with, like, red and black, and, like, the implications of blood and bleeding, and, like, little vampiric things like that you can do with Vladimir with some cool, interesting makeup, that I feel like skins are just not taking at all proper advantage of. Again... Dorian Gray sort of character, like, not that he necessarily needs to fuck with gender. I think it's okay if Vladimir is like just kind of a hot, skinny, like male presenting twink. That's fine, but I do think he needs to fuck a little bit with like contouring and doing interesting things with eye makeup, and like, because again, Vladimir is a character who like goes into hibernation for like 40 years and then emerges back onto the social scene again, reinventing himself over and over, and like putting on a different face, not with a mask, but putting on a different face with makeup, like having a different makeup look each time so he almost looks like a different person. That thematically works really well with the Black Rose, right? Like, because that's kind of what LeBlanc does. LeBlanc has many faces. She's everywhere, she's everyone. Vladimir, it would be more interesting if he also had many different makeup looks that really dramatically changed like the shape and contouring of his face and make him feel like, oh shit, that's a completely different person. That because he's reinventing himself, right? Like, he's playing a new character every time. That's something I feel like that the skins for Vladimir don't take advantage of. And, like, I understand. On Summoner's Rift, you can't see his fucking makeup, right? Like, it's not something that's going to show up from this angle. It's just from a character design perspective, that's something I feel like the skins could take advantage of a lot more. But no, yeah, like, yeah, the only thing I miss is that this is bigger and more ostentatious and a little bit more flamboyant. But everything else about how this is put together is just, again, massive improvement. The texturing as well is so much fucking better. And I don't mean in terms of, like, you can see that there is texture, right, in his coattails. Like, they have, like, an interesting sort of shiny something going on, versus here it's just kind of like, oh, there's some ridges and it looks like leather. Whereas this is more... oh, okay, like there's something glossy, shiny, special, something about, like, shine, like, subsurface scattering, whatever you want to call it. Like, there's something extra going on there that I quite like. Okay. Yeah, no. God, I'm I'm not used to praising League of Legends skins this much. I'm used to complaining a lot more. I'm sure I'm still complaining. I know I'm still nitpicking. I know. I'll never stop being me, after all. Okay, here we can get a look at the outfit. Oh, okay, interesting. Huh, okay. Well, that's a big change. That's a really... I did not, like... Because on surface inspection, I didn't feel like Samira actually got changed that much, but she really did. Quite substantially. In a number of ways. This is one I would definitely want to get a look in the model viewer to really get to grips with, but, like, look at the gun holster, for example, how much different it is here. Especially the pants. That was the thing that grabbed me, is, like, because this, like, old Black Rose Samira, the boots, right? She's kind of still wearing her old boots. Let me find Samira here, actually. I need a different background for this. Hang on, just a sec. This is... There. Right. These are Samira's boots, right? Like, she's wearing... She has her pants, and then she has these cowboy sleeve things, whatever, chaps, whatever you might want to call them, over her pants, right? And they create this boot shape down with her shoes down here, right? That's Samira's base pants. And so in the old Black Rose skin, you can see they're still working with that structure, right? Like, she still has the pants and then the sheath over them with some rose petal designs. I quite liked these. I thought these were actually kind of cool. But one thing they definitely are not is not evening wear themed, right? So this is the one thing about Samira. Like, I think my criticism, if I remember right, of Black Rose Samira was that I feel like Samira, again, given that the skin is supposed to be, what if Samira was actually invited to a Black Rose ball? I feel like Samira would be more rebellious against the Black Rose, right? Like, that she would be like, oh, evening wear? No, fuck that. I'm gonna dress like however the fuck I want because I'm Samira. You don't tell me what to do, kind of vibe, right? And from that perspective, I kind of like that she was keeping her old sort of cowboy boot thing, like, that she was keeping that, and it was rose petal themed, but I was like... But my criticism was, like, I feel like Samira wouldn't put on anything to the dress code. I think she would do her own thing and do it better than anyone else and be much more special and unique. And they've kind of not really done that. They've actually conformed her even more. Because one thing that those boots are not is evening wear, right? Like, this is not... that's not what you wear to a formal dinner, right? Like, that's to a formal dance party occasion kind of thing. And so what they've done here, they've clearly gone, okay, let's put her in something that's less like her regular costume and much more like evening wear for a party that you're attending at the Black Rose Ball or whatever. So she has these, like, pants with these rose petal hems, I guess they're supposed to be. Let me see if I can find another angle on it. Yeah, much more like sort of trousers. She's got this half glove on. She had the old half glove as well, but you can see it has a little bit more of it, like, it's tight to her arm. It's got this kind of whatever this is. Again, the glued on gold thing on the shoulder. But that also sort of visually stands in for armoring, which again is sort of more combat oriented. That's gone here. It's much more like this is a fancy evening glove, like a sort of a full-length arm glove of, like, the sort the fancy ladies wear to parties. So they've conformed her a lot more to the evening wear thing, and they've really taken out a lot of the vestiges of her base design. They've gotten rid of that and made it much more explicitly, this is an evening gown design. They've also decreased the complexity of the headgear quite substantially by the looks of it. Yeah, so there's definitely a bunch of simplification that's happened with Samira in many ways. I love a good smear frame. Well, this is not a smear frame, this is a squash and stretch, and deformation. Okay, let's look at the hair. So the new one, we have this hair piece. These, like, interlocking, yeah, kind of flower designs. And there's the old one. Yeah, the old one is much more muddy. You can even see it. That this one, like, disappears a lot more in, like, with the red and, like, in the many little details that exist on it. And then the new one is simplified, and it reads a lot more cleanly from a distance. Kind of the same thing with the rest of the headgear is... Again, we have this emphasis on asymmetry, which I quite like. Like, we have the gloved arm on the one. Like, again, these are elements that, in part, like... But yeah, like, the asymmetry of, like, the glove on the one arm and not on the other, and the bracelet and not on the other, and the black glove and the red glove, and the hairpiece. Like, and they've removed... Like, this is something I felt was awkward about the old one. Red hair... like, dyed red, presumably for the occasion, then black, and then red again, and then black. Like, this stripy situation was kind of a little bit visually odd. That's gone now. Instead, we have, like, red hair, and then it seems to weave, like, much more gradually and sort of as a gradient into the rest of the braid, with the hairpiece sort of seeming to serve as a sort of boundary position from which, like, where we transition from the red to the black. And that's, like, again, visually, that's a lot cleaner, especially from a distance. That's a lot cleaner than, like, this black, and then there's this red that sort of fades in with her dress, and then there's the black. Here, that contrast is so much stronger. And that's the same thing they've done with the rest of the outfit. I think this is much more of a simple... well, I say simple, but it's much more of a simple color, right? Like, it's just a red dress, which is red with some gold trim on it, whereas the old version, the outfit is like black and red and black and like all these overlapping color shapes, which are like interesting, but also a little bit muddy from a distance. A lot of color tone change on the sword as well, making it a bit like a little bit more red tinged, a little bit more gold tinged. Interesting. Okay. And like more bright versus the sort of darker aspect of the old sword. But like this definitely reads a lot cleaner, especially with the holsters contrasting against the rest of the outfit. Yeah. It's cleaner. It's a lot cleaner. I'm gonna need to take a closer look in the model viewer to really settle whether I think it's a huge improvement. But I think it is an improvement. I think the hair piece, especially the bits with the hair, is much cleaner and looks better. I kind of, again, it sort of depends. Like, is Samira following the dress code and she's just dressed to the nines exactly like the way that they wanted her to be? Okay, I guess for me that feels a little bit less Samira. For me, that feels a little bit less like her vibe, but it's the kind of thing of like, oh, the client wants it, fine. I'm going to show up wearing the outfit that they want, and I'm going to look the best anyone has ever looked in it. Okay, fine. Like, if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing. I can't help but feel the cowboy, like the, whatever the hell these boot things are. Chaps, right? But chaps go all the way up. No. Yeah, I don't know. Like, this is Samira following orders more than it's Samira challenging the Black Rose aesthetic, which is clearly what the skin wants to do, and that's fine. That's just me having a niggle in the back of my head, a nitpick about, like, but that's not what her character would do. But who cares? Who cares? That's not important. It really isn't. Okay. Ah, the recalls. We should be able to get a better look at the outfit here, too. Oh, yeah, much cleaner look at the outfit here. Yeah, the Phantom of the Opera half mask thing is definitely working a fuck of a lot. I should have checked the end of the video to see that they were doing the recalls. I'm sure I'm getting much better poses here. This is a fuck of a lot better. It looks much more dignified without those stupid red stripes all the way down. Because, like, they weren't... Those red stripes, they weren't fun. They weren't, like, ostentatious or flamboyant. They were just, like, there was just a stripe. It wasn't drawing attention to anything. It wasn't directing your attention to his crotch. It wasn't lighting up in a sea of contrast. It was just that red stripe that didn't do anything. It's still a little boring from the waist down, but at least now it doesn't look dumb from the waist down. Oh, now we get a proper look at some... Ooh. Mama. Now we get a proper look at the face. I feel like the face mask is a little bit less elaborate than it was on the old one, but let me just double check if I'm right about that. Yeah, it is. It is a little bit less... It's a lot less elaborate, actually. The original face mask had all of this going on. Like, these, like, golden teardrop streaks and, like, the red on the side and, like, the... This is a much simpler mask. Just a bit of gold trim up under the eyes. But nothing else going on. I kind of like that simplicity. I think that kind of works. That simplicity. Especially combined with the relative... Like, the stark white of her hair. I think that works. Good God, but that woman has a figure on her. Jesus. Yeah. I kind of like that. I kind of like that the mask is so blank. There's kind of a statement in that relative to if it's over-decorated with way too much, right? Again, that thing about old money, new money, where old money has a tendency to be less concerned with looking the most ostentatious out of everyone in the room, and more concerned with, like, looking the most expensive, right? And then they have this drive towards, like, oh yes, it's simple, but it was handcrafted by blind monks in the Andalusian, like, mountains over the course of 80 years, while constantly being washed with, like, rainwater collected on a moonless night in the month of April, right? Like, or whatever. Like, that thing of, like, it's this very simple thing, which was monstrously expensive once you actually ask about it. I think that works for her. Huh. Interesting recall for Elise. Just, yeah. Yeah, no. Just better. Just straight up better. That recall. Yeah, simplified, much more readable. I miss the boot thing, but that's, yeah, I get this as a change. Like, again, much more rose petal themed also, especially with that glove on her arm. Much cleaner. I feel like they could probably have simplified the sword more as well. I don't know about the spikes, like the sort of, like, it's the black rose thing with the stem and the thorns on the rose kind of thing. They could maybe, if they were gonna simplify her and clean her up this much, I think they could probably have stood to remove a couple more of the spikes on things. Because there's an extent to which the weapon looks a little Warhammer 40k all of a sudden relative to the rest of what Samira has got going on, right? With all these fucking sawtooths and things. But yeah, no. What a pleasant surprise. What a happy surprise. What a nice thing. They made the skins better. I had problems with a lot of them, and now all of them are better. Well, all of these ones. They haven't changed the Ezreal one, which sucks. The Ezreal one is kind of bad. I did not care that much. For the Katarina one, it's like, I wanted to play the Katarina I saw in the cinematic. Like, I feel like that's the selling point of the skin, and then they make the Prestige version, which doesn't look like the Katarina from the cinematic. That feels silly to me, but it has to be Prestige, so we have to add a whole bunch of extra bullshit onto it because of, you know. So interesting. What were the other... Let me just find my... Whoops. Let me just find my old review of them. Yeah, it was pretty much just Katarina and Ezreal besides. Ezreal just doesn't get nothing, huh? Doesn't get nothing. I guess they were just happy with him. I guess they were just satisfied with what Ezreal looked like, which, okay, I guess fair enough. I feel like it was a really boring skin for him, but whatever. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of surprised. I have good news. I have happy news to react to. I just have a nice update that improves things and makes things better, and clearly is... I'm claiming credit for all of this, by the way. This is all me. I did it. It was my videos. It was because of I didn't like it. Riot prostrated themselves on the floor. Their CEO came crawling to my door, dressed in rags, flagellating himself across the back, begging my forgiveness. And I said unto him, "Go and improve the skins somewhat, and you shall be forgiven for your mortal sins, my child." And he had an orgasm right there on spot. It was incredible. No, not... Presumably there were more critics of these skins than just me, but I really, like... I really hope that this presages that the other Battle Pass skins will also be getting some updates, because especially Spirit Blossom Ivern is like... The splash art for Spirit Blossom Ivern is not AI. It's not AI. I need people to stop saying that, because no, the fuck it isn't. It's not AI. Shut up about that. What it is a paint over. It looks like it's just kind of a cheap and dirty paint over of the model itself. That's what the splash art looked like. They took the model and had some artist who didn't want their name put on it, because they did not publicly release the name of the art. They knew that this was a piece of shit splash art. They knew it was bad. The artist clearly didn't want their name associated with it. And I can't blame them, because like clearly it was, here's a screenshot of the model, paint over it as fast as you possibly can to make it look kind of like a splash art, and then put it out there, which is why Ivern is the only thing in focus in that entire splash art. Everything else is blurred to fuck, because then you can't see that it's all as loosely sketched as possible. It's why there's no background, right? It's why he's like up in the top of some tree, so it's just blue sky background, there's nothing there, and it's like a quick little paint over of Daisy with the basic colors. Like, it's a very basic color sketch with a fuck ton of blur applied to it, and then that's just kind of shoveled out the door. And it's crap. The artist knows it's crap. I'm sure they don't feel good about it either. Like, they don't want their name associated with it. But it wasn't AI. You can, if you zoom in on that splash art, you can see the paint marks. You can see the scribbles and the scratches where the artist was very quickly putting down color to sketch out, like, the volume of the shape. It's very poorly rendered in a lot of places because of that, but it was not AI. But anyway, like, the Pool Party Twitch splash art was fine from a technical... Like, that wasn't such a lazy... Like, I say lazy. The artist who was working on it probably crunched to get the Ivern splash out the door. Because, you know, because it seems to have been poorly planned. But the Twitch splash art, the Pool Party Twitch splash art was not poorly planned. Like, it's not nearly as trashy as the Ivern splash art. But the design of the character model and the way that they've changed, like, it's barely a chroma, right? Like, it's barely a fucking chroma, and it really sucks. It's not good. It's really not good. So my hope is that this is signaling that someone inside Riot has been able to gather a lot of feedback from people saying, these skins suck hot ass. These skins suck donkey dick. We don't want them. This sucks. We don't want to engage with the battle pass. And they've been able to gather data that says, hey, players are engaging less with the battle pass. They are spending less money and time on League of Legends. They are feeling like dissatisfied with our product offering, and it's impacting our bottom line. We need to invest more money in making these skins look good. And that has gotten through to someone in management who said, okay, fine, you can have some more time to work on the skins, I guess, whatever. But you have to promise me that we'll see financial returns for this. And so, like, someone somewhere has gathered the data, made the argument to management that, like, hey, this is not good enough. We don't feel happy about this. Please, for the love of God, give us some budget to make some revisions to make this look better. I hope they keep having success at doing that, because that's a difficult fucking thing to get a corporation to do. It's something Riot used to be better at. I would like to see them recapture some of that magic a little bit. Like if you're in there, splash artist, if you're like artists, designers at Riot, if you ever watch this video, you shouldn't. I don't know that what I say is going to make you happy, but fight the good fight, please. I'll be out here throwing rocks at the CEO's car as often as I can. But you guys fight the good fight in there and like argue in favor of putting out the best work that you can do, because that makes the world a better place generally, I think. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Bye. Wait, hold on. Actually, that's not it. Turns out the new splash arts are also out. They've tweaked them to more accurately reflect their new in-game models, so there's new splash arts as well. Let's just quickly take a look at those. This is the old original Black Rose Renata Glasc, and here's the updated version. Yeah, like, mostly this is just conforming her to fit what she looks like in-game. I don't know that I have a huge amount of comment on it. You can see they've done little things, like the backgrounds have been shifted. You can see them shifting. But mostly this is just to conform to what she looks like in-game now. With the interesting exception is that her mask here is gold, which it was not in that preview. Which makes me wonder if it's supposed to be gold in-game, and they just kind of didn't do that for whatever reason. Or if this is a version of the splash art, like they made the decision to make it white at some point and then the splash artist didn't get the memo in time. But like, you can see the massive changes to the decanter now, like how much different it looks. How much better the fucking prosthetic. I cannot overstate to you enough how much this arm sucks. That's just a normal hand. That's just a normal hand. Now it's a fucking cool-ass, motherfucking badass robot arm, which is a huge part of Renata's appeal in the first place. So much better. I cannot begin to express enough. One thing is interesting, though. We talked about how on the model, the gun holster strap is now much more obvious on her skin, and I like that. Not in the splash art. They took it out for some reason in the splash art. Just got rid of it. I guess maybe the artist thought that this was like a strap for the dress, and then they took it out because they didn't realize it was for the gun holster. I feel like that should be added back in. Yeah, like this also kind of demonstrates, this is just Renata's old haircut, right? Like this is just the haircut she has normally. This is a change, right? Like this is something that's specific. And again, with Renata being that she's going to this Black Rose party, I feel like she would do something specific with her hair, right? Like she would put on a hairstyle specifically for the party. Because again, that's the thing that matches the kind of class position she's trying to take, right? Hell, it might even be that she's actually wearing a wig a little bit. Is that what they're sort of trying to imply, is that she has her black hair, like her normal hair underneath, and then she's just kind of wearing a wig over top of that? Is that the idea? Because that would suit her. Like that would work for the situation. Anyway, old Elise, new Elise. Mostly costume changes still. A little bit of change to the anatomy also. Like, look at that hip relative to this hip. Oh, down here. And, like, even in the splash art, you can see, right? The difference it makes to not put fucking gold on her fucking spider arms. How much better it looks when there isn't fucking gold on them. Oh, my God. Now, the mask in the splash art has some odd changes. Again, I was right. They put gold inside the eye holes on the old mask. I don't know if that's reflected on the in-game model as much as well, but they've removed a lot of other gold detailing. For one thing, they've removed the gold lips, which were present in the original version, which really I just found horrifying to look at, frankly. Toned the armor down a lot, which I think is good. And then, like, those open hip windows, which are, like... which were very attractive on that version of Elise. Minor changes to the anatomy to sort of, yeah, make it flow a little. Because with the old one, they were flowing with, like, this skirt piece thing that she has in the old version that sucked. Removed a few flower petals as well. Gotten rid of yeah, that's probably also a good thing to get rid of. You see there's a little spiderling and its legs over here in this version. They've kind of just gotten rid of the spiderling and the spiderling that's up here, which is, I think, is a good choice compositionally, because there's no reason to have this distracting thing down there. If you're not showing the spiderling fully, why have it? Yeah, just clean up, I think. And there's Samira. Again, mostly just minor costume, like the changes to the costumes that were made. Interestingly, they did not change the hair, even though they changed it on the model so it didn't have that red, like red, black stripy thing. That remains unchanged in the splash art, which might be an oversight, who knows. Backless dress now, instead of like the sort of armor set thing holdover from her base form. In the splash art, I will say I really like the new direction for the face mask a lot better. The old one was very kind of clunky, very sort of Iron Maiden-esque. It felt very heavy on her head. This feels more elaborate, more swooping, more fashionable, right? More like this is like a fashion statement kind of thing. I guess that makes sense. And then Vladimir. I mean, the difference that a new costume can make, right? These fucking stripes. Ew. Gross. Disgusting. This huge open... Again, if it was just more flamboyant, if this was flamboyant and, like, cunty rather than... This looks like such a fucking basic-ass fucking fit of a shirt. It's so... It looks like he bought it at Uniqlo, right? Like, it looks like it's straight out of Hot Topic with some ugly-ass jacket over top of it. No, that doesn't work. This is better. Much more flower petals, right? Like, much more of that, like, opening rose thematic thing idea going on. The half mask is much more alluring, has much more implication, much more of a main character kind of trait. Same thing with the asymmetrical hair that sort of mirrors the layering of flower petals much better now. Getting rid of that fucking bird nose thing, because that doesn't suit him at all. Like, it suits him as a mosquito, I guess, as a parasite in that sense, but... Like a waistcoat, a fucking cravat, a little sort of clasp at the neck to do the thing. An actual collared shirt underneath, which is, like, again, fits him better. Again, wish they would do something interesting with makeup for Vladimir sometimes, just occasionally. I can also see a little bit of the censorship in that this is his blood magic. You can see it's blood magic. It's all goopy and blah. And then we change it here. It's like, oh, no, it's purple magic. It's not blood, it's purple magic. It's purple, so therefore not blood, hey. Which, you know, that's ratings that they have to conform with. Man, what a difference a costume can make. Now that's it. Bye.